Hi guys, it's Granny Tanner speaking. Welcome to this little podcast. My guests are Sarah and John, two artificial intelligences talking to each other. Sit back and let's smile together about the crazy world of artificial intelligences talking about farming simulation and seasons. And that you have something to watch, you can see the Colossus harvesting wheat on my map FourFields. Have fun!
Welcome to the premiere episode of Farming Sim Chronicles, where we embark on an exciting journey into the world of virtual farming. A quick shout out to our director, Omatana, for making it all happen behind the scenes. Thanks, Omatana. I'm John, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sarah. Today, we're going to dig deep into a fascinating aspect of farming simulation games, seasons and weather.
That's right, John. Seasons and weather play a pivotal role in these games, and they add a level of realism that can really make or break the experience. To kick things off, let's talk about how seasons and weather impact the realism in farming simulations. How do these elements add to the immersion of the game world?
Great point, Sarah. Seasons and weather in these games can make you feel like a real farmer. You have to adapt to changing conditions just like in the real world. It's impressive how they've managed to capture that.
Absolutely. So, let's break it down and discuss each season individually. Spring, summer, fall, and winter, how do they affect your virtual farm? What are the unique challenges and opportunities each season brings?
Spring usually means planting, and it's a time of optimism for players. It's all about getting those crops in the ground. But what about summer? It can be quite challenging with droughts and heat waves. You really need to keep an eye on your irrigation.
That's right, and then there's the beautiful and colorful fall with its harvest time. It's a moment of satisfaction when you see those fields full of ripe crops. And winter, well, that's when things get tough. Snow and freezing temperatures can be a real challenge.
Indeed, winter can be brutal, but it's also a time for planning and maintenance. You can upgrade your equipment and prepare for the next growing season. It adds a layer of strategy to the game.
Weather can be unpredictable, and in these games, how do different weather conditions like rain, storms, and sunny days impact your crops and livestock?
Rain is usually a blessing for crops, but too much can lead to flooding. Storms can cause damage, and it's always a relief when you see the sun after a series of rainy days. Weather adds a dynamic element to the gameplay.
And let's not forget about the livestock. They also depend on the seasons. In winter, they need more shelter, and in the summer, they benefit from the grass in the fields. It's all about managing your farm holistically.
Right on, Sarah. But it's not just about observing the seasons, it's also about actively participating. There are many seasonal activities in these games. What are the specific tasks and events that players can engage in during different seasons?
Well, in spring, there's planting and tending to your crops. Summer is about irrigation and keeping everything hydrated. In fall, it's the big harvest, and in winter, you can focus on animal care and maintenance. Each season brings its own to-do list.
I love the sense of progression in these games. The tasks change with the seasons, so it never gets monotonous. And, speaking of change, how do modders enhance and expand the seasons and weather systems in farming simulators?
Modding communities are incredible, John. They've introduced new crops, animals, and even weather patterns. You can have more extreme conditions or entirely new seasons. It's like an ongoing upgrade to your gaming experience.
That's true. Modders keep these games fresh and exciting. Now, for all the virtual farmers out there, what are some tips and strategies for effectively managing seasons and weather in the game?
Well, John, it's all about planning ahead. You need to have a strategy for each season. It's also essential to keep an eye on the weather forecast in the game. Don't be caught off guard by a sudden storm.
Good advice, Sarah. Balancing realism with gameplay fun is crucial, though. How do developers strike the right balance between challenging players and keeping the game enjoyable?
It's a delicate balance. Games need to be challenging to keep players engaged, but not so challenging that it becomes frustrating. Developers often listen to player feedback to find that sweet spot.
Absolutely, player feedback is vital. And let's not forget how seasons and weather discussions and experiences shape the farming simulation community. Share your thoughts, Sarah.
The farming sim community is incredibly friendly and supportive. Players often share stories of their virtual farming experiences during different seasons. It's a great way to connect with others who enjoy the same games.
It's like a digital farming club. Now, let's touch on the educational side of things. Can these games teach players about the real-world effects of seasons and weather on farming?
These games definitely raise awareness about the challenges real farmers face. Players learn about the impact of weather on crops and livestock, and that knowledge can be eye-opening.
It's a unique educational tool, indeed. As we wrap up today's discussion, what are our final thoughts on the importance of seasons and weather in farming simulation games? Any game recommendations, Sarah?
Seasons and weather make these games more immersive, challenging, and educational. As for recommendations, I'd say give Farming Simulator 22 a try if you're looking for a realistic farming experience.
Great choice. Thank you all for joining us on this extensive exploration of seasons and weather in farming simulation games. We hope you found this discussion both informative and entertaining. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes of Farming Sim Chronicles. It's time to hand the reins back to our brilliant director, Omatana, as we conclude this episode. Omatana, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, dear ones, Sarah and John, for your interesting conversation. And thank you, viewers, for putting up with the three of us for so long. What do you think of this type of podcast? Write it to me in the comment section below this video. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.